Welcome. This is Tax Pro Nation, the home of the independent tax professionals, where you can find a tax community, maximize your earnings, and live life on your own terms. I'm your host, Imelda Ledesma, COO of Pronto Tax School. Welcome back to our IRS Tax Forum Spotlight Series.
So we're here for the latest episode of Tax Pro Nation, the podcast. We're here with Omyr Man. I'd like to first of all just congratulate you on having that last name, Man. As I was joking before the podcast and say, that Christian who referred you over for this interview was a fan of you and said you're the man, and you said that's actually your last name, and you got a pink shirt on.
Yeah, so it's it all you have to have enough confidence with the name to win with this color shirt and to be afraid from your marketing manager that forces you to do things.
Yeah, absolutely. You're very bold with the last name and the shirt combination. So Anchor, this is a new name for us in the sense of we're just learning about your company. Give us a little bit of background of what you guys do, and then also your relevance to our audience is mainly independent tax professionals, so tax preparers, tax consultants, tax problem solvers, tax attorneys, CPAs, enrolled agents. So what does Anchor do? What's your vision with the business, and how does it relate to what we do?
All right. So Anchor, by design, is a revenue protection system. It started out of a personal pain years ago. I had several businesses. This is my fourth company. Managed to create a few successful companies, sell them in different markets, in different niches, different sizes. And billing was always something that I hated. I hated the feeling of doing really good work for clients, serving them well, and then having to be in a position where I actually chase my money. Not because I had bad clients, I had great clients, but it was just, I had a good relationship with them, and then they felt actually like sort of, he knows I'm good for it, so I'll go on a ski vacation before I pay him. So, and
once you heard about that ski vacation,
yeah. And then you end up very frustrated, because if you don't know exactly how much money you have at the end of the month, will you grow tall or stay close to the ground? Will you advertise more, add more employees?
Okay.
No, you stay close to the ground. And this is what we see happening to a lot of small businesses, and especially the solopreneurs, or the one that, up to 5 to 10 employees. They are in sort of a survival mode, and it's not their fault, because the system of getting paid right now, especially in the this financial aspect, is broken. If you would go and Amazon doesn't chase you for their payments, right? Netflix doesn't chase you for your payments.
They charge me real quick.
Yeah, you don't go into a restaurant, eat your steak, and then say, okay, great, send me that invoice, net 30.
Okay.
No, because everything is weaved together. And what's happening in service is that it's, okay, I have the agreement, and then I do the work, and then I invoice, and then I chase the money, and it's broken. So Anchor is a system that, first and foremost, gets you paid automatically. The way, when we looked into how to do it, we understood that we need to start before the problem even begins. We need to start with the engagement itself in the proposal stage. So instead of sending a DocuSign or an attachment, a PDF, we send a link. You can create all the terms, all your services very, very
scope
quickly.
of work.
Very, very quickly. We have a lot of templates, so the objective is for you to be able to do it with your client on the phone as a sales process. Then you send it, they're able to get a link and sign it immediately. We have a lot of people that sign it while driving. We're against it, but it's stupid proof, so it happens. 90% of our proposals are being signed within the first 24 hours, so we're doing something right. But that's not enough.
Okay. Interesting.
A big part of the proposal itself is that, apart from setting up the terms and being digital, we are asking the client to provide us with their payment information in advance, meaning either ACH, which is free for you and free for them, or if they opt in to choose a credit card, they are the ones paying the fee, not you. And for the smaller businesses that want to get paid faster and normally they're using credit card, they have to absorb those 3% fees And these are businesses that their margin to begin with is not tremendous. So this is like 3% from their bottom line. It's very painful. So just starting off, they get like that 3% and getting their money within 2 days. But apart from that, now once that's signed, you have a situation where you have a solid agreement signed, weaved with the payment information, and then because of that, you can do your work, and the invoice will be generated automatically from that agreement and automatically collected according to the terms. And we can have packages, you can have time-based billing, you can have value pricing billing, you can have a mix of things, you can have ranges saying, okay, you don't exactly know the range or the scope of the client, or he doesn't know. So you can say, okay, anything between $1,000 and $2,000 is going to be billed automatically. If it's above that, you can always change it and adapt it. But we created a default in which you being paid just happens, versus now that for you to be paid, your client needs to actively do something. And when we say do something, is you sending them to work. Because when you're sending them an invoice, you're basically saying, okay, you go back 3 months back, go over our correspondence, go over the agreement we may or may not have, do an AP process. So you need to validate that. And this is why payments are late, because it's just broken. And Amazon doesn't do that. We turn you getting paid into an expense versus an AP process.
Interesting. And so for a lot of tax professionals in the sort of the old days, we would get paid at the time of service in person with a person, right?
Correct.
Versus the virtual service environment, where a lot of times now we're not meeting with our clients, they're remotely, right? So there's different tools to kind of attach payment to signing the tax return and kind of address. But I think I want to just on a practical see if you can address this. That my understanding is that the credit card companies, their agreements were designed, and I don't know if this is outdated, so let me know if it is, where you were not supposed to pass on the fee to the client or the customer. Is that the case? Is that a myth? How does that?
So when they started out, or like it's definitely was the norm. It was like almost morally not right to do it. It's not the case, but this is the feeling that we got as business owners. No, it's like I need to absorb it. But first of all, it's a myth and it's wrong. Second, it's completely legal in most states. However, and this is a big however, it's not relevant when you're using Anchor. The reason is that they're not paying you. You as the service provider are not the one that are asking them to take the fee. They're using a billing system. The system is the one asking them, how do you want to pay? It's not you. We are separating the emotional and the compliance barriers from the service provider to the payment. So
interesting.
I'm asking you as a platform, how do you want to pay your vendor? And if you want AC agent free, go ahead. If you want your miles, your points, great as well, but you take the fee. So we, after, we're serving over 15,000 businesses, and we see zero friction with it, because for a client coming to pay, what leads them is their own convenience. Whatever is more convenient for the business owner. This is in scale. If you have 100 clients and those 3% are accumulated, this is a big thing. Apart from that, if we look into automate, let's say the devastating effect of not having a proper system in place is the reality is bad. 90% of businesses that close in the US and die due to cash flow issues.
Right.
And you say, okay, big surprise, no money, you die. But the big surprise is, if you look into the research, and this is a Dun & Bradstreet research from 2019, 60% of those businesses were actually profitable on paper.
Okay.
And that's scary when you think about it, because you say they had a valid business, and somehow because of that, mix-ups, they drowned. And you see clients have a lot of innovative solutions. I only work if I'm being paid up front. So think about how many clients you push away with doing that. Or a lot of people just chase their money, or they say they take bridge loans.
They hire somebody to chase their money.
Or they have an AR clerk that costs them a lot of money. either way, even if you're either not getting paid properly or spending a lot of time to get properly paid, and this is functions that humans are really suck compared to a computer. We shouldn't do that. That's not our thing.
Computers have less emotions attached to it. Because that's the thing, right? Is especially as a small business owner, like you mentioned, hearing about your client going on a ski vacation before they paid you, is the small business is a psychological game in a lot of ways where you get your feelings hurt a lot if you have feelings. That's why we always recommend not having feelings.
No.
As a starting point.
I'm against
kidding. But that's a danger of it can kind of derail your day, derail your week, and even potentially derail your business because you can get into a negative mind frame with regard to your customers paying you. So is this a way, it's almost like a way of outsourcing that or kind of putting that to a third party and kind of redefining. Is that?
Absolutely. I think like the big part of what we do is we want to take the human elements out of you getting paid.
Okay.
And accountants, bookkeepers, tax preparers, like service providers in general are good people and they care about their clients and they care about delivering good work. The thing is, you're like doctors, but when you go to a doctor, you go out and there's an admin that takes care of the payment. There's
That's
a
right.
separation. The doctor doesn't, like dirty his hands with the payment because there's a friction there that is, built into the relationship, and you don't want that. But here you're stuck with it. What we want to do is give you an automatic tool that will take away and separate that emotion. And more than a doctor, you guys have a deep understanding of their financial situation. So sometimes you'll go, oh, I know they had a hard year. Okay, so I won't raise my prices. Oh, I know it's not part of the agreement, but I didn't, it wasn't clear enough to begin with, so
okay.
I'll waive it.
Okay.
So we call that revenue leakage. Revenue leakage represents 4.6% out of that bottom line. And if you have a margin of, like let's say, 30%, that erodes the business, and this is the silent killer of these businesses. And most of the time, you're not even aware of these things because they're not measured in any way. You have an invoice you forgot to collect, or you in the middle of the month they ask you, oh, can you do this and this, and then you say, yeah, okay, it's an extra $300, and you wrote it on a sticky note, but and you discover it in 3 months. Will you go and charge your client? No, you'll probably say, I'm an idiot, I forgot, so I'll waive it.
Well, because it's about your mind share too, of as the small business owner, you only have so many things you can focus on. Your priorities are, like you said, for us as a service provider, providing good service, doing a good job. We got our hands full already just doing that.
And you're
so
afraid.
now putting more things in my mind that aren't necessarily a positive or things that I want to do. And then I might be losing focus on things that I want to do that are fun for me. And then I might be getting kind of like miserable.
So that's too. And this is where, let's say you have awareness and you know that something fell short. Most times with these things, you don't know that it wasn't paid. Like revenue leakage, that's like it's leaked. It's like money that you were supposed to get and somehow leaked out. I'll give you a good example about raising prices. You might even have in your agreement, in the arrangement, that, okay, next year the prices are supposed to go up 10%. But come December, the admin or you don't go back to that paper agreement.
I see.
You just duplicate December. What we have an automatic price increase for that. We have a lot of things and this is why we call it revenue protection. We have tools that are built to automate things so you don't need to, burden your mind with and do things you're basically bad at. You don't bring your own emotions into the game that make sure that, you're doing good work. You need to be paid and
keep focusing on that.
Exactly, and growing the business. And you can allocate, instead of having an AR clerk, you can allocate that funds for the same person to do revenue generating work.
Yeah,
so we were seeing a few things that we try and automate to help, this community. They're good with finance, but they're sadly the last to be paid. And they normally shy away from anything that feels salesy because it feels salesy to them and that's not who they are. And so we have a lot of things that we have packages and the way that we create it in a way that will optimize the yield from a proposal and still keep them comfortable. And maybe the fact that you're serving small businesses is something that for us, this is the world we're coming from, and we're very passionate about, and the way we structure our pricing revolves around making it accessible. So we don't have any subscription, there's no minimums, there's no boundaries or limitations. We get paid when they get paid. So let's say it's, they process $1,000 invoice, we will deduct a flat $5 fee. So we get paid only when they have money in the bank, and it doesn't matter if it's $1,000 invoice or a $100,000 invoice, it's still a flat $5 fee. And ACH gets in their bank in 2 days. We work very hard to be able to achieve it without raising prices. We almost like we're literally a bank, in terms of compliance to pull that off. And we care. We want them to succeed, and we see a very, very big impact on taking, basically freeing people from the pain of billing. If I
it's billing is something that we maybe don't think about a lot, and but we see the importance of it more and more with regard to just the amount of things that we notice. So say for like our best members, they have so much demand for their actual service and and their expertise and their work, that the billing is kind of, it does come between that and you being able to focus on that in a lot of cases, and does cause a revenue loss. So I could definitely see some applicability of your solution. To wrap up the interview, Omri, I wonder if you could talk a little bit about because there's a reason you're here at a tax conference, right? Is
Correct.
That you must know that your solution is kind of pretty applicable to people like us, right? So there's a sort of a trend that is going on with subscription billing in our industry, which was very much not what we did originally. So it's as much change as we deal with in terms of tax laws and things like that. Sometimes it's hard to manage change on your own business operations. So subscription billing, putting the payment details on file ahead of time, so you don't have to say, how would you like to pay or whatever. And so, but specifically with subscription billing, like monthly or quarterly or that kind of thing, how do you see that throughout the tax industry? Because there's a lot of people that they talk about that, but maybe they haven't implemented that. A lot of us are kind of skeptical about will my clients hate that? They don't want another subscription. That there's a little bit of subscription resistance. And how does your solution and all the work you guys do to do what you do, how do you think through that, especially if somebody's thinking about moving to subscription?
So it's a great question, and we, and I think there's two ways to approach it, and I understand why people fear it. So first of all, in terms of the technicality, we fully support it to an extent that we did a collaboration with Ron Baker and Hector Garcia. Ron Baker had, a book basically called Time's Up, Stop, Billing According to Time, and really, really supporting that subscription model.
But
a lot of people are very fearful from that move, and it doesn't necessarily, the vision, and when it meets reality, there's a challenge, because if you take just a flat subscription, then that means you're ignoring reality. Reality is something that everything keeps changing.
Reality is so hard to deal with sometimes.
Yeah.
But sometimes it can go in my favor.
Another episode. we have a solution for that as well. But
reality is hard.
It is, but it's solvable if you know how to handle it.
Okay.
And what we try to do is, if you have a subscription, you're not only saying, okay, I'm taking $1,000 a month and it's a recurring thing. You can do that with QuickBooks, and auto pay. And what we offer is have a package that is it could be very different in terms of a pricing models. Meaning, you can have a package and subscription that says, okay, I have the core, and then I have add-ons, and then I have even a time element that says, this is a safety net.
Okay.
If this goes beyond the scope of what I thought, then up to 10 hours of $200 an hour, it's going to be automatically charged. So we have a lot of things within the subscription model that prevents the automation from breaking. Because what happens if you do just, a fixed recurring, all of a sudden, someone gives you something that's out of scope.
That's right.
And then the automation breaks.
That's right.
So when you're doing a subscription model for service provider, unlike a traditional SaaS, you have to have a system that knows how to bridge those gaps, or you'll end up being with multiple systems and you didn't relieve yourself of the AR. So this is a big part of it, and we work quite extensively with Ron Baker and Hector to really nail it down to the extent that they go and say, if you are really good with the value that we provide, change your offering to be a value pricing model, and even there to say you can unsubscribe from me with a button. So that's like really. So
you address the fear on the customer side. Exactly. Of I don't want to be locked into.
Exactly. No one will really press the button and unsubscribe for you because it's not like a digital service. But the fact that you can even offer that is such a strong selling point and such, showing that you have conviction. We have that capability, but a lot of people don't even use it because they're still fearful. But in terms of, I'll tell you, like as a maybe a middle step to moving to a subscription.
Okay, right.
We have a lot of companies.
Because you can sense I'm a little scared or something
Yeah. But I'll tell you what we saw. We saw that the tax season has, you have a big, very intensive cash flow injection in a few months, and then like very, very quiet months. So some companies said, okay, but I'm serving them all year long, or I want to. So can you help us take that, chunk of just an injection and spread it over 12 months? And then what we do, we actually increase the price. It's not just dividing it by 12. We increase the price, spread it around, and then you have access to communicate with your client on a monthly basis, add advisory services, add stuff that normally you don't offer because, tax season is tax season. It's like limited to us burning down a specific time of the year. So this is something we see happening more and more, and we know how to support that and actually help them mitigate it. And about fear, which is something that is a constant thing with change, and especially in the financial industry where, we study to be conservative. That's like the thing.
Okay, right.
Reality is different. Clients will do anything that you have the confidence to stand behind. If you have the confidence to say, okay, this is how I work, and that's it, they'll just do it.
And as long as we explain to why it's in their benefit.
I think that it's not like, 'cause a lot of things it's not about benefit or not, it's just how you work. And
I see, interesting.
It's like, because it's like I'll tell you, and I don't need to explain it, will you work for free completely? Will you? Not being paid at all.
I would prefer not to.
Okay, and you don't need to understand, to explain the benefit to your client why he needs to pay.
Interesting. Okay.
This is how I work. I like it. I work and then you pay, so it's exactly like that.
This is sort of how it goes.
Yeah.
Right?
So how you pay, it falls exactly into the same realm. The thing is, we're used to certain ways of thinking, and this is cost of doing business. But businesses die because of this, so it has to change. And especially in this space, and especially for the smaller parties, they do so much, and they deserve not to suffer from these things. And this is our mission, to make them thrive and not like survive the monthly grind, and help them do the things they're bad at, like the selling part, the cross-selling part, chasing money, like eliminating that completely. And the impact that we're seeing on companies is tremendous. We're serving thousands of clients. We're partners. We're official partners with the Cal CPA. We've been around and we've seen it from different angles, and we know how to help you when you onboard. Check your pricing. Normally when people move to a different proposal and billing system, it's like moving an apartment. They sort of look at it and say, oh, I didn't raise prices for 4 years. Okay, maybe it's a good opportunity to do so. Maybe it's an opportunity to fire some clients. And we help you do that transition. So we have dedicated, let's call it, pricing and billing specialists that do it with you. This is what we're about.
And if
okay, so all right. So first of all, the integration for like QuickBooks and any ledger, it's automatic, and reconciliation is bulletproof and automatic. So it's like basically send it and forget it from that point. In terms of AI, and this is another tool we're actually working with Hector Garcia around pricing. So value pricing is something that it's sort of an art for you to investigate with your client.
Right.
What do they need and how much is it worth for them? And
that's right.
So we're building a pricing tool that will actually give you the questions to question your client, and then come back with the answers, and or more so actually do it for you. Like the tool will ask your clients and automatically build the best optimized proposal for them based on their needs.
Interesting.
So that you don't need to do the hardcore sell, but still get your worth, but in an automatic fashion.
So it might take into account things like market rates or
more
for
than
different
that.
services.
So market rates are saying, okay, I'm going to average myself around what my neighbor's doing. No, what we advocate for is you have a client, they have a need. They say, okay, I need this resolution. And what you're selling them is not necessarily a tax return. You're selling them maybe, like the financial, mental health. Because for them, like think about the situation they're in, or they're trying to, grow their business exponentially. So all of a sudden the demands that they'll put on you or the needs that they'll need from you is different from client to client. And normally when we average everything to what, what's the average, that goes to waste.
Okay.
If, it's not a necessity, we can just do the default, and we definitely have benchmarks and we have everything, we have templates differently, but
it's more of what's the value of the outcome.
We want to help you feel comfortable and have something supporting you with getting paid more for the work you're already doing.
Yeah.
And doing it in a way that's very transparent, very fair, and more than that can actually present you as the hero to your client, because you're asking super professional questions around, what do you need? I need the tax return.
Okay.
Great.
Okay.
We know that. But why do you need it? What's the business? And these are things that a lot of times we don't match the expectations to begin with.
Okay.
And now you have a tool that does it for you, knows how to get you paid for it, and then you can ring the bell and actually show the client, look, you remember when we started, this is what you asked. Look how cool I am.
Interesting. So there's a lot of thought behind even the setup that you guys offer, and being connected with these other thought leaders in our industry. And what an interesting project. Really appreciate you joining us on the Tax Pro Nation podcast.
Thank you so much for having us.
And so if people that are listening wanted to get more information about what you guys do and think through some of these things that are top of mind for a lot of us, what was the step that they should take?
So the immediate easy step is they can go into our website, which is www.sayanchor.com.
Say, S-A-Y?
Yes, correct.
Sayanchor.com, okay.
And there's no subscription, so they can just register and actually play with it. They can book a demo and have someone actually look into their business and ask them the maybe hard questions about what they want to do and what type of business they want to grow into, and then we can actually do it with them. So migration, if you have, it doesn't matter how many clients you can have thousands of clients as well. We help you migrate it really easily in bulk. You don't need to do it one by one, and you don't need to do it alone. We do everything with you. We have proprietary AI tools to help us migrate things very quickly. And about that, specifically for people that are doing tax, something that we saw that it was a pain and solve it is for maybe bigger companies a little bit that have 1,000, 2,000, 3,000 clients. So they need to send engagement letters.
That's right.
That takes a month and plus of work. With what we saw, we're able to send 2,000 engagement letters that are completely separate and different from each other, all optimized in bulk, in one click. We do a sanity check. You have a tool that bridges it all together and send 2,000 engagement letters at once, collects the payment, or the payment method in advance, sort of streamlines your tax season ahead of the mess. So we have a lot of clients that did that and got paid for this season while they're still chasing money from the other season because it was completely automated and it was not up to them to do. So around the tax aspect, the fact that you can automate bulk, missions or tasks becomes massive in the impact it generates for the business.
Yeah, interesting. Thank you so much for joining us. We really appreciated learning about what you're doing and all the thought and work you guys put into it. Best of luck with everything.
Thank you for having me, and this was a great opportunity.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, man.
Thank you for joining us. I'm Imelda. Join us as we continue to share these insightful conversations from the IRS Tax Forum. If you are interested in being part of our community, please visit prontotaxschool.com or email us to support@prontotaxschool.com. Being part of our memberships comes with getting expert support, top-rated training programs, and weekly video live events.